Make too many napkins.
ATM is the only kitchen bathroom renovation company.
Yeah. Hey, Black. Lil Wolf.
You let me skip the track back, but you not pause it. Oh, which one is it we're not doing? Oh, I'm going to talk, and then... So make noise. So, your pedo flag is showing, or else why are you attacking our network? Okay, so on to everything. There's a funnel cloud warning for Peel, Durham, York, and Halton region, and so Alton Hills is a municipality, and Halton is a region, and then you got York, North York region. Yeah, it's complicated. The York region. I'm gonna explain something to you. If every classroom is getting an air filter, why are they being mounted on carts? Oh, they're not. They're showing you the same filter classroom to classroom, right? They got one filter or one cart. The filter cost 200 Canadian dollars. I believe they were 239 or something 15 years ago. Those carts, I guarantee, cost 600 bucks more. The filter sits on anything flat. Okay, so that's a complete waste of time. And they're using this interesting phrasing to say that cooling centers will, whatever, pump fresh air in libraries and gymnasiums. Well, that's helpful because that has something to do with the classroom, right? No, it doesn't. These are for schools that don't have air conditioning or ventilation. So what cooling center? Are you talking like swamp coolers, like these so-called miniature air conditioners for about 3 months, supposedly everybody went crazy for, and then now there's a whole bunch of videos showing this is nothing. It's a fan and a fucking bowl of water. What else is there? That was it. So I have a bottle of water for the junkies to have, I guess, because I wouldn't put this in my body. What? Okay, see, this problem with switching from French to English. Source at Feversham, Grey County, Ontario. That's way too close to Walkerton for me. In fact, any water source in Ontario is right next to a farm, an animal factory farm. So I'll leave this somewhere for junkies to use for shooting up. So if you notice me picking up water bottles, the only reason why is because they've made their way close to the sewer drain. That's it. Because if they get run over a few hundred times and the sun shines on them for a few weeks or months, they decompose into nothing. That doesn't usually happen. Usually a plastic bag of leaves or something will cover it up. So when you find a bottle of water with the cap on it, it's like sitting perfectly somewhere and laying somewhere, you're like, what is this? Somebody put it there and just left it, forgot it? It's for an injection drug user. Don't touch it for a bunch of reasons, for your own sake, and also because that person will now be running around looking for water. And this complicates the whole thing. So, oh, here we go.
Push myself. Take a chance. Make it.
So what are our other options? CRI or
also courage. This is going to be an experience right? I'll never forget.
We've been at this 35 minutes. Nope. I can't remember if I titled the last video. It was 325 cases, worst matches in the world. That's two separate thoughts. Now, I didn't know this, but the day before yesterday, the case numbers were 400.
In Brampton, overcast and 25 degrees. In Hamilton, mostly overcast and 26. Milton, overcast, 26. Downtown Toronto, mostly overcast and a humidix reading of 36. Some light rain showers. We're going down to an overnight low of 22. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. It's 7 o'clock.
Freezing and thawing spring waters. Wow, you're bad at this. You're incredibly bad at this. Freezing and thawing spring waters, there's a typo in the fifth word, bro, may result in the formation of harmless white mineral flakes. Store in a cool, dry place. A cool, dry place. Why? If it's actually ozonified, and there's no way to be sure that it is. I'm gonna show you something. Oh, I fucked it up. Most of these, that's the first time I ever fucked it up. Most of these, you can open it, squeeze water out without breaking the seal. So. Now, I don't know. There's 2 of these packs. Ah, that's disgusting. Can we stop with the milk chocolate? Seriously, milk chocolate is disgusting. That's why it melts in the heat. Is the milk. I don't know if you know this. Chocolate comes from fucking Africa. Yeah. It comes from a plant. So this reduced fat cocoa, I don't believe you. You misspelled xanthan gum and you misspelled sorbitol, and I only noticed xanthan gum just now.
In good shape here. Westbound 401, we did have an issue approaching Trippz.
Yeah, 2 hours of clearing up.
The period for COVID-19 vaccines is progressing with the need for a vaccine passport without
Cocoa solids, 48% minimum.
81.5%.
This thin little coating on the outside is 48%. Bullshit.
Vaccination and second doses are 72%.
I can see the product inside of it, bro.
Progress. It is working without mandates.
More notes that the province is not currently reviewing any
It's
passport
disgusting.
system for provincial use, adding they are working with the federal government on implementing a national vaccine passport for travel. Also, Dr. Moore says that given the rate of vaccination in the province, he believes Ontario will hit its vaccine targets for moving beyond stage 3 of its reopening plan in a week to 10 days.
Oh, this is
Well,
good.
federal officials
This is
announced
good.
today that U.S.
That's
drug
good.
maker Moderna is going
That's
to
what I
build an
want. The one that's
vaccine
been ripped
production
open.
plant in Canada, along with a research facility for diseases other than COVID-19. But as Global's health reporter Jamie Morocco reports, the news was thin on details.
Moderna has made an agreement with the Canadian government
These
to
ones
start
don't wash
domestic
easily,
production
so-
of
but they're black.
mRNA
I might keep
shots
them.
as we attempt to boost our supply in the fight against respiratory viruses. Here's the CEO of Moderna.
We will be ready on Canadian soil to make, in a matter of months, a new vaccine for a new emerging virus to protect the Canadian population.
But the Liberals
I know he's speaking with what you think is a French accent. That's an Anglophone pretending to have a French accent. First of all. Second of all, it's August. We were told a year and a half ago that in January, I believe it was the 10th or something, we were supposed to, we would already have a factory up and running making vaccines. Still hasn't happened. And we go on and on about this bullshit. But
30-year-old man in the throes of crisis was caused by the actions of jail guards. Dr. Michael Polanin says in a report that Soleimani Fakiri died in 2016 after being beaten, pepper sprayed, and restrained in a prone position in a segregation cell at Central East Correctional Facility in Lindsay. The coroner's office had previously concluded Fakiri's cause of death was unascertainable. Global's Tricia Mason has more on the calls for accountability from Fakiri's family.
What kind of society do we truly live in when a mentally ill man who needs to be taken care of, who needs that compassion, is given to his family in a body bag?
Global News reached out to the province for comment but did not hear back in time for deadline. The case has been returned to the Ontario Provincial Police for possible criminal charges against the correctional officers involved in the use of force inside the cell. This will be the 3rd time that Soleiman's case has been considered by police for potential criminal charges.
At this point, we haven't seen much from the OPP that causes us to have a lot of faith. I would love to be proven wrong on that. To me, the report speaks for itself. This case will not go away. We'll bring it back a 4th time. We'll bring it back a 5th time.
Tricia Mason, Global News.
Facing allegations of sexual assault from 11 women detailed in a damning report from New York's Attorney General and the prospect of being impeached, Governor Andrew Cuomo
or certificate. Reporting live, I'm Karen Seolden.
remember, health cards are not a form of ID. They're not officially considered a form of ID.
In-class learning, 6 days capable leads at Highland Heights. Junior.
Outdoor learning, increased ventilation. 2 of the things that
So, what are you doing about all the pedophiles being released from jail over and over due to COVID? Because raping a child is considered in Canada a non-violent offense. Yes, it is. They've said it in judgments and rulings.
Cooling centers in gyms and libraries will pump fresh air in. And we are encouraging people to...
What does that mean? Pump fresh air into what? With no mechanical ventilation, how are you going to do that? Oh, these buildings aren't the easiest to, yes, they are. The oldest buildings are the easiest to retrofit, you fucking piece of shit.
That's what our ultimate goal is. She says they're still waiting on Toronto Public and Health in the province for guidance on some protocols, but the masking and ventilation gives her peace of mind. In Scarborough, I'm Cable Lake.
What's the masking for?
News Radio 680 News. Environment Canada.
The kids can only get it from the adults. They're not going to get it from each other, apparently. They've already said this. And they're not going to get sick and die from it. Which, by the way, means they will never come up with a vaccine for it because there's no reason to. There's no medical scientific scientific or fiscal reason.
Six Cities meteorologist Carl Lamb has more on what we can expect.
So I did plant those tomatoes.
The GTA, that's why those heat warnings will be in place for the rest of the work week. And temperatures for tomorrow.
So it was not 42 degrees today.
Low 30s.
I did not see any hail.
Wednesday and Thursday will be in the. Well, tonight, Tony Esposito, a Hall of Fame goaltender who rose.
Breaking news tonight from the NHL. The Chicago Blackhawks announcing that Hockey Hall of Fame goaltender Tony Esposito.
So this probably cost, I was going to say $2, probably 20 cents. This shit here cost about $8, $10, $12, and it's garbage. I don't understand why you people do. You look, Jesus, look how many dollar signs on the receipt of the things I did good. It all gets thrown out. This is garbage. I won't eat your garbage.
Why is the Ford government not issuing a so-called vaccine passport? Six Cities Richard
A whole bunch of reasons.
Health Minister Christine Elliott says the receipt you get after you
But
receive
you still
your
haven't given one reason why they should.
The second dose receipt is confirmation.
And remember, it's not provincial jurisdiction, it's federal.
could easily be fake.
For a year and a half, they've repeated
However, the reason Elliott gave for not issuing further proof was the concern about fraud.
We're now getting rid of the red and white Ontario OHEP.
He just presented that as though it was the opposite. He just presented that as though they were opposites.
So I think there's a lot of work that still needs
That's a
to be
false
done.
dichotomy.
Despite a growing number of groups calling for mandatory vaccinations for healthcare workers, Elliott says the government isn't budging.
There's a mixture of views on that.
You know who's
particular
not?
Subject,
The
and,
unions.
We are not mandating vaccines for anyone.
Because you can't. It's not in your purview. And that's not what they fucking said. They said, why aren't you making it? Oh, quite simply because the provincial health card is not a form of ID. The Ministry of Health is not in charge of coming up with ID documents, and they have no way of accessing the information they would need, because it's federal, to verify it.
Serious but non-life-threatening injuries, and there remain road closures in the area.
This is 6 City News. The province's chief forensic pathologist says the death of a 30-year-old man in the throes of a mental health crisis 5 years ago was caused by the actions of jail guards. 6 City Sherman Close tells us the man's family is now calling on provincial police to get involved. Solomon Fakiri died in December 2016 while waiting to be transferred to a psychiatric facility. A report from the chief forensic pathologist concludes Fakiri had been beaten,
Now remember,
sprayed,
it takes 2 minutes
in a segregation cell by
for the ambulance to get there. So what was he waiting for?
In Lindsay. Fakiri's brother says the finding gives his family some hope.
Yeah, you're convinced that my brother would be here celebrating and hanging out with me, but he's not. He's gone. He lost his life. What the hope is that this story, this tragedy can shed light of this problem within the system.
Provincial police are now taking a closer look at the case to determine if any criminal charges should be laid.
For the third time. Should we charge ourselves for this?
680 News is dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture.
Committed to moving forward in the process.
Now listen to how they hedge what they say.
Respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people.
This is 680 News.
Peoples. Peoples. There's an S on the end of it, you fucking retards. Since you have to get college, university level English to get this job, I know you know that. I know for a fact that you know that for a fact.
Roto-Rooter can do it all.
Good news.
Oh, are you full of shit? Call Roto-Rooter. If that don't work, call Mr. Rooter.
The hearing, which surprised me also because I was given no notice. They were given maybe a day or two's notice, so they may or may not know. The same would be for Robert Schellenberg. You probably have very little notice.
It's hard to imagine. I mean, I look at your situation. I've read about your situation. I've had you on before to talk about your situation for 2 years, living your life completely in an unknown. You're completely isolated and shut off from the world. You didn't even know what was going on with your wife. These two men, these two Michaels, have almost been in captivity now for 1,000 days.
They've
September
almost
4th,
been in
1,000
captivity
days
now.
since they have been kidnapped and held by
This is
China.
the same thing. University level English.
It's
Can't
hard to
form a
think,
sentence.
Kevin, that their situation's going to get any
Can't
better
speak French,
because
not
the
one word.
situation with China
Gets
has
the bonus for being
deteriorated
bilingual.
greater since you and Julia got out.
Yes, that's true. In the case of the two Michaels and also Robert Schellenberg.
You retard, bro. If you're going to be an apologist, make up a better lie, you fucking bootlicker.
And they had
Those evil Chinese people didn't let them commit a crime on their land without just letting them. No, they didn't. They're not going to. Nobody's going to.
What do you mean? I took some pictures of from tourist sites, you know, things like that. So it would be much the same for them. I have no doubt.
Your jailing was in retaliation for the arrest of a Chinese businessman. So this is not a new thing for China. This is what they do. You had very limited consular access. I think you had more consular access than the Michaels have had. I mean, Dominic Barton is now over in China, but there have been very limited moments that Canada has had any access to these men. How important are those moments of having a voice from the outside world and from your own country, frankly? I mean, how much does that help you kind of survive the unsurvivable?
Those moments, those 30 minutes a month were huge to me. They brought hope. And, you know, I had one counselor official who would come.
They gave me hope. They gave me hope. The Challenger or whatever, they didn't tell the astronauts there was a problem. It's better not to let them try and fix it, to give them hope. You made them go through the whole procedure like it mattered on the way back. It gave them hope. It gave them hope. You know, that chemical that releases in your brain so you don't shake when you're dying. Hope. You are disgusting. You're not a human being. You do not deserve the protection of the Charter of Rights.
I had thousands of people praying for me, which I didn't know the full extent until I was released. But you know,
oh no! Those prayers gave you hope. Those prayers gave you hope. How come when you get told someone's praying, oh yeah, I felt that. I had no idea, but yeah, I felt that. Fucking liar, bro.
Effort to get the video made so that they can add pressure.
What's prayer? Hoping. We gave you hope, but you couldn't feel it. You didn't have.
China's going to retaliate, and so I want to suggest that Michael's favor will be the government, whatever sentence it is.
So when white people do that, it's because white people get very pissed off if their name's mispronounced, which is incredibly ironic because most white people can't pronounce their own names because they're not of the same language they claim to be descended from. So they do that on purpose, so we'll get offended. I'm making fun of you for not being able to speak your own language. It's written in your alphabet phonetically for a reason. You still can't pronounce it. And you think I'm disrespected. No, you're dumb. You're fucking stupid. You're as stupid as the pedophiles that work at YouTube that try every day to somehow. I'll start the video with half the fucking screen missing. Oh, I guess it's just how it works now.
China will carry out its third execution for Robert Schellenberg. I think this is a big warning to Canada.
Don't sell drugs in China, stupid.
I don't think they will. And I think now we kind of have two olive branches.
When they Chinese people, you got nothing to say.
We can execute Robert Schellenberg. Now Michael Stavor, they can come up and say, well, we might let him go. You know, if they do that, they're saying, you choose which way you're going to go, Canada. And, you know, act accordingly.
While killing a Canadian, on what could be, trumped up charges would be a whole game changer.
Killing a Canadian on what could be maybe might be some trumped up charges. He's been to court, and a court recognized having the rule of law in a country run by the rule of law. A competent court. You know what I'm trying to say? Oh, he probably did. You went to a country where they kill you for selling drugs. You sold drugs, you got caught, they gave you a trial. You had your consular visit, apparently, which does nothing for you.
The Beijing Games. Are you with Magnitsky sanctions are what we need to do, getting tougher?
You don't sit in jail going, I want my consular visit. The guard doesn't come to you and say, yeah, the consul's coming sometime. It doesn't work that way.
And that we need to change our relationship.
Finds out after. Oh, you were all praying for me. Yeah, I didn't. You feel us praying?
Our relationship with China. I don't think China should be rewarded for their behavior.
Their behavior?
The sanctions, though, I'm not sure. But I think we have to around.
You're not sure.
We have to be there.
You're not sure. You're very sure they're in the wrong, but you kind of don't know about these sanctions. Meng Wanzhou didn't do anything. There's not one shred of evidence she did anything.
They're not separate. We have to realize that. And this is, again, this is the whole.
And by the way, why do you keep calling them monks?
We can only pray for the two Michaels and Robert right now.
What do you think the people of this country need to understand about this period of time and this moment involving these Canadians?
I think we have to realize who we're dealing with. China isn't changing. This hostage.
A country that's been here 5,000 years is not going to knuckle under to the British Empire after 350 years of the Opium Wars. It's not going to happen. They're not giving you Hong Kong.
Tread carefully when we have agreements or we sell our companies or sell land or whatever to China. You have to tread carefully.
Yeah. Well, you and your wife, Julia, are about as brave as can be, and the story that of what you endured, it really is an eye-opener. So I thank you very much for giving us an insight. Very few have that insight. And,
he didn't give us an insight.
Sharing it with us.
Oh, people prayed for me, but I didn't know till after. And I got a consular visit, and that gave me hope. If the consul visits you, there's a good chance you're going to die in that cell you're sitting in, right? Like, you're not leaving that cell ever again. By the time a diplomat comes to visit you in jail, you're finished.
Very much.
And thank you very much, Alex.
That is Kevin Garrett, and he co-authored a book, Two Tears on the
Window. Oh, he co-authored a book, which means he didn't write it himself.
His wife suffered at the hands of China. And again, that was
suffered horribly for committing a crime in another country.
It is now, and what they went through is just horrific. And so he speaks with knowledge and would understand. So
he speaks with knowledge and would understand.
We will talk about our big headlines of the day, which include this one, and we'll also talk about the fact that Prince Andrew, man, he's facing civil action by a woman who accuses him of sexually assaulting her when she was a child. His problems, I think, are only beginning. That and more. Stay with us. A very busy show here on this Tuesday.
This is the 4th or 5th time in 2 years this story has started up again. You want to keep telling us it's not been proven?
And now time to go out and take a look at the roads with chopper traffic. Here's Ari Rubin.
Oh, the British royal family don't get involved in sex trafficking? Oh.
However, it's not a criminal inquiry as some have been calling for. Roseanne Archibald, the National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, welcomes these commitments and wants to make sure the efforts are Indigenous-led.
Now is the time for accountability, action, and healing.
The Fed's also boosting support for mental health services, giving cash to help
Remember, yesterday the media said that the Inuit Governor General should just better just do what the Prime Minister says. She's appointed by the Queen, not the Prime Minister. She gets to tell the Prime Minister what to do. The Army answers to the GG, who's an Inuit.
For my actions, I have been too familiar with people.
Too familiar. Oh, you had carnal knowledge, meaning you raped somebody. Too familiar means carnal knowledge means unlawful possessed carnal knowledge or whatever. I mean, you just admitted to being a rapist! So, coconut almond chocolate,
the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration says
peanut butter chocolate.
Passengers on planes jumped again in the past week, and they're pleading for help from airports. Here's
Business this year is more better than last year. The worst year ever on record is better than this. It's up so many percent. These are the same idiots that'll tell you the market went down 50% on Monday. On Tuesday, they'll say it's up 50%. So it's money-making day. No, it's not. You're still 50% down from the first day. But yeah, the first day. I don't know what the point of this is. That the bar is this long. But whatever. Dips. Yeah, DPS.
Before they get on a plane.
That is ABC's Alex Stone. Traffic and weather next.
Hi, I'm Carrie Tabb, co-founder of the Hertz Eye Institute. In 25 years, our mission has never changed. Attract the best eye surgeons from around the world. Support them with the most advanced technology.
And this is thinking, thanks to your cheap outness and trying to look good, you got all this milk chocolate that melts. Now this looks like there's shit on the bottom. I can't even give this to somebody now.
Possible for you. Google Hertz.
Well, why'd you get the milk chocolate?
Call us for a consultation.
God, you're stupid, man. You're all trying to buy your way into heaven by being a dickhead.
Gun violence has risen in recent years across Canada. Shootings have become
all-time low. All-time low.
Canadians feel threatened in their own communities.
No, that's not the commercial. Hold on.
The government of Canada is taking action to help keep Canadians safe by banning assault-style firearms, strengthening gun control laws, and targeting gang violence and illegal firearms trafficking. By working together, we can reduce gun violence. A message from the government of Canada.
the number one homicide weapon in Canada and the United Kingdom is edged weapons, meaning knife, sword, piece of sheet metal, whatever. It's not a gun. Now, all last week they were running this ad, and they kept saying the number one cause of a murder in Canada is shootings. No, it's not. Did I make a big scene and send an email? I said it once on one of these videos, and they never ran that spot again. So shout out Rogers with the Nazi swastika logo. It is. It's specifically a Nazi swastika logo. Rogers Cable, yes it is. Then Chorus Entertainment. You run news on a entertainment company. That's great.
If you're in the collectors from east of Young. A member. Visit CAANEO.ca for details. Auto insurance is underwritten by CAA Insurance Company.
Safety. It's something we all look for. And as of April 2021, Volvo is the only manufacturer to...
The other thing, so she used the term assault style. You're thinking I'm supposed to use the word weapons. No, that's a separate term. The term assault style, presumably there'd be a hyphen in there, but it's understandable if you don't put one. So you basically, so it's not a type of weapon. Assault is not a type of weapon, right? You said that just now. It's not a type of weapon, it's a style. Okay, so if I have wood grain pattern sprayed on the plastic of my AK, that is hunting style. If I have carbon fiber, it is assault style. Well, it's a style. A style means a look.
Of Ontario, and Kim Wright, principal at Wright Strategies. Ladies, good to have you.
Great to be here.
This is one of these days that we are just kind of getting constant big headlines. Let's start with the topic I was just chatting about, which is we are waiting for Michael Spavor's fate, which we should learn at around 10 o'clock on his sentencing.
I hope he fucking dies.
And, I don't know if you heard my interview with Kevin Garrett. You know, he says it's time to toughen up. And federal conservative leader Aaron O'Toole, he has always been very strong on China. I mean, if there is an issue in the campaign on foreign affairs, he
Asparagus.
Mr. Trudeau with it, because he has always been on the right side of dealing with China and suggesting that we start using things like Magnitsky sanctions, stopping students from coming here to Canada. There's all sorts of things we can do. But he also said we should be
all sorts of things. Yeah, you listed two of them, and they both involve refusing their money.
Yes, Canada should.
You're a genius.
And I said we're going to be watching the decisions
a boycott.
Very closely. Beijing has to know that the world is watching the genocide taking place against the Uyghurs. They've watched what's been happening in Hong Kong and the situation with Mr.
Well, there's no genocide in Canada. 5,000 dead children.
The world is watching.
Now,
and we're proud of our athletes. We're celebrating.
For 5 years, I've been waiting for proof of what's happening to the Uyghurs, and I haven't seen it yet.
Of a country that wants to host the games to bring people together, and we'll have to think long and hard on whether we reward a country like that with the.
Getting the Olympics is not a reward, number one. Number two, it was supposed to be Toronto hosting the 2020. Oh, yeah. Down in the East End, where I was living at the time when they were dreaming this shit up. It was supposed to be Toronto hosting the 2020 Olympics. Imagine if that had happened. Oh, dear. But you think somehow denying China is going to stop it? They already hosted the games. Right. I know, winter versus summer, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to let them give us money. Okay, your white people style of agriculture that you've been trying to force on everybody in this country for 200 years doesn't work. In 1508, when the first British people got here, only 15 of them survived the first winter. Your concept of agriculture has never provided for your needs, ever. China went from 30 years ago being in a state of famine, essentially, 40, 50, to being able to sell food to us here at 1/4 the price of the food grown here. You cannot argue math and science. You can't argue with gravity. I don't understand why you try.
something that is going to be concerning, and I think NFL's, doing a good job of bringing attention to it for sure.
And polling would agree with that, Kim. Recent polling after the games suggests that a majority of this country do not believe we should be at that games. And polling over the last couple of years, when it comes to China.
Hey, they said the same thing. Oh, come on, Chomo. Chomo, get a real internet connection, Chomo. Get a real internet connection, Chomo. They said the same thing. Oh. They said the same thing. Hang on, give me a second. This is the worst fucking app to use for this. Show plaque on my nerves. China. Holy fuck, man. 1, 2. It's amazing how long it takes to do this. I know I could throw together lots of useful content in a very short video. The issue is, to do a 10-minute video, there's 45 minutes of YouTube trying to convince me that some pedophile's home computer is actually the whole internet.
She's not even hiding the fact that she's out door knocking for this campaign. And I'm like, lady, you're the head of public health. You're the head of health. And I think you should be a little more concerned about the pandemic.
Yeah, so here's where I am on this. First of all, no Canadian ever wants an election ever, so forgetting where the polling is, let's just stick that to the side.
False narrative. False narrative. Canadians don't vote. This is a democratic country. Canadians don't vote. We're a democracy, much better than China with a dictatorship. China. Oh. Chomo. Chomo. Your pedophile flag is showing, Chomo. Your pedophile flag is showing, Chomo. Like, I know when I'm standing over here, you don't necessarily see me, but I'm looking right at the computer screen, bro. You're not a hacker. You're not a hacker. You're a child molester that the whole fucking internet can see. But you're not a hacker. You're also not psyops or whatever the fuck you think you are. You're not pulling off no psychological nothing on nobody. Remember, you left all these weird kitty type messages on air, pretending to be a little kid, and you had to fucking scream and yell at me in the street later that it was you, you're the Chomo. Like I don't understand. Why do you think I give a fuck? You better be good. Hello.
At cri.com.cn. Now the day's headlines. China has decided to recall its ambassador to Lithuania and demanded the Eastern European country recall its ambassador to Beijing. The move came after the Lithuanian government allowed Taiwan authorities to open a representative office under the name of Taiwan, reiterating that there's only one China. A foreign ministry spokesperson also warns that China's red line of safeguarding national sovereignty and territorial integrity shall not be crossed. The chairman of China's Eastern Airports Group is under probe for suspected violations of disciplines and laws. The company oversees the Nanjing Lukou International Airport, which has been largely blamed for the ongoing COVID resurgence in China. Chinese courts rejected a Canadian drug smuggler's appeal against his death sentence. Robert Schellenberg was convicted of smuggling over 220 kilograms of methamphetamines. He was sentenced to death in 2019. The Hong Kong Professional Teachers Union has decided to disband. The group has long been accused of engaging in anti-China activities, inciting violence and preaching Hong Kong independence. Local education authorities cut all working relations with the group last month. The New York State governor has resigned over a barrage of allegations that he sexually harassed 11 women. Andrew Cuomo was increasingly isolated as state assembly members moved toward impeachment, and allies deserted him following last week's report from State Attorney General Letitia James.
And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing. and therefore that's what I'll do.
Cuomo has denied behaving inappropriately with any of the women who have accused him of harassment. He had resisted calls for his resignation from top Democrats, including President Joe Biden. The U.S. Senate's approved the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure plan. A rare coalition of Democrats and Republicans joined together Tuesday to deliver a cornerstone of President Joe Biden's agenda. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has high expectations.
You tell me again whose land am I?
The bill will make
I'm giving you money.
significant
I give you no money, and you're not shoe shine.
productivity
You'll be
and
shoe
job
shining. You'll be
creation
like shoe
in
leather.
America for decades to come.
The package will provide almost $550 billion in new spending over 5 years for roads, bridges, broadband, internet, water pipes, and other public works systems. It's now heading to the House. The Senate turns next to Biden's bigger package, a $3.5 trillion plan with debate likely to extend into the fall.
So do I have one of those
Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says the city will require government employees to be fully vaccinated as the transmissible Delta variant is driving up COVID-19 cases across the country.
All